coach for the Wellness, Performance, and Longevity track at the Middle East and Africa Summit. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Marcel Munster, founder and director of the Beauty Fund, to moderate Humans Upgraded, Attaining and Maintaining Optimal Performance.
Hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited to have this absolutely extraordinary panel with me. I was actually just on a flight yesterday, and I basically celebrated my birthday on the plane, but there was no real celebration, so this panel today, that's my birthday to myself. So no pressure, you have to deliver. No, but why is the topic of performance and well-being so important to me? Because I received this extraordinary opportunity from the Milken Institute, in particular, Haifa Abu Dhabi, and also Dr. Annalisa Jenkins, she's a board member of Milken, to create this panel. 2/3 of my life have been focused on performance. Back in Germany, I was part of the German Olympic Training Center. I was in the distance runner, 800 and 1500 meters, followed by my academic career. I was trained and educated at Johns Hopkins. I'm a medical doctor and have a background in public health as well. I became an entrepreneur and now had this unique opportunity to create the world's first performance-based investment fund. So I'm really, really privileged to have all of them here. And the idea was from the very beginning to tell a different story of performance through the eyes of a sports legend, social media celebrity, really an interesting entrepreneur, and also through the eyes of a psychiatrist who's basically helping people to achieve their peak performance. So we're just going to get started right now. I'll give a very brief introduction of each. Some might not need an introduction, but I'm going to start with Clarence. Basically, his top accomplishments. Clarence was chosen by Pelé as one of the top 100 football players of all time. It was the FIFA 100 list. He won the Champions League title 4 times, and he's the only football player, who has won the Champions League with 3 different teams. And Alex Hershey, or basically YouTube channel, is Super Carblondy, or overall nickname in the social media world is Super Carblondy. She has a channel focused on supercars, something that I absolutely enjoy. So that's how I initially came across her name and the channel. To give you a few elements here of why she is absolutely extraordinary in what she does. She was actually chosen by Esquire magazine as the influencer of the year last year, if I was mistaken. Yeah. According to Nick. And what is really interesting, I'll give you some of her social media stats. She has 5.5 million Instagram followers, 11.9 million Facebook followers, and just on January 29th, her YouTube channel surpassed 3 million subscribers. But what's even more interesting is every month, across all channels, she's adding about 1 million new followers. And between January of 2019 to January 2020, her total views on her YouTube channel have increased by 628.5%, from 28 million to 204 million total views. So just to give you an idea, so it's an honor.
Thank you so much.
Ida is someone I've known actually for a long time. I have the utmost admiration for what she has accomplished as a female entrepreneur, and I apologize for adding the word female, but I know what it means to start a company myself, and I know what it means to start a company in Europe, and even more so what it means to start a digital health company in Europe. And Ida is actually known as the woman who are accredited with coining the term femtech, which is related to technology to address women's needs, both in terms of period tracking, fertility, menopause, etc. And she has started a company called Clue with about 11.5 million monthly users, and it's the it's the most trusted women's health brand in the world. And then we have Phil Hopley, or Dr. Phil Hopley, but we can call him Phil. He's fine with it. Phil also is extraordinary. He actually is running a clinic out of London, Harley Street. It's called Cognacity. And he was actually, prior to getting into medicine and eventually psychiatry, he was a professional rugby player and has about 30 years of experience as a psychiatrist with a particular focus on performance. And his clients include the European Golf Tour, the fifth pro, so he works at many of the premier football clubs in the world. He works with the Rugby Players Association, UK Athletics, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be, an absolute pleasure for me to manage this. The first question, and as one common question for every panelist, while the rest is tailored towards each because they have different backgrounds, but all basically steered towards performance. Clarence, I want to start with you. Why are you doing what you're doing? Give the audience an understanding how you basically evolved from a football player in the Netherlands to a coach to a philanthropist.
Good morning to all. I've started my career looking at football as an opportunity actually to fulfill my life mission. So it was a little bit different than what most people would expect. I thought it was a fantastic platform in order to get that profile in order to get back to football. I was quite young when I was aware of what I wanted to do in life. So that helped me with focus, helped me also to have the motivation if I'm scoring goals or simply perform or outperform others. So we have to start actually with the philanthropic part, and then the career will go on. And everything that I've done in business and things I've studied I've done in my life were all and is still very much related to my life mission, which is do my bit to support this world to be a bit better. One of my greatest inspirations was Nelson Mandela. I became one of the 5 legacy champions chosen by him to continue his message about peace and dedication for the younger. So this is at the end of the day what I'm aiming for. But to have that, you have a need a platform, you need a voice, and that voice has been increasingly being empowered by my playing career, my coaching career, and all the things that I've probably been doing. But besides that, there's a lot of very, sustainable projects that we're working on to support the small and the big organization in delivering sustainable projects and inspiring people. Because at the end, I was inspired by somebody, and I can say it has given me purpose in life. And I think that with those who have a voice, we can help those who don't really have a voice to be heard, but also to be inspired and to believe in themselves, etc.
Was purpose always, because everything you're saying sounds extremely purposeful. It's something that 100% resonates with me. I think there's something more than just doing it for the sake of doing it. Has this always been part of your life, that purpose basically was the main drive in everything you did?
Yeah, I know. More we develop, we get more structure over time because a lot of get to when I was 7 to say, I'll create a big house and bring all the doors and the poor kids and in that house was mostly not a realistic thought. But you structure your thought over time, but the drive and the purpose is the center of the lines that you follow over the years. So I think that I'm privileged to have had such an early consciousness of what and where I wanted to go and how I wanted to do things. And also to recognize opportunities in the people around you to help you through this journey and to make it beautiful, which I'm enjoying every day.
It was actually one mentor of mine at Johns Hopkins, but I moved there. I was literally no one. I came in, I was a student and no money whatsoever. And he said something similar to what you said. He was the one who wrote the chance. He wrote me a raving letter of recommendation and everything possible now. And he said, if you ever had a chance to give back to someone who you think should deserve it as well, so this is something that's absolutely in my mind. This was an instrumental moment in my personal and professional.
Me. So very different, I think, to you, Clarence. I didn't start out with a high purpose at all, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I studied journalism, broadcast journalism, and I knew that I wanted to be somehow on air because I loved talking to people. So if I talk too much, just stop me. So I studied broadcast journalism, and then I went into the radio. I was actually a radio host in Dubai for several years, and I always had this passion for cars from a little girl. From a very young age, I always thought to myself, right, one day I want to bring a supercar. Like that was my goal. Because I thought at that point, if you get to a stage in your life where you can spend money on something so unnecessary like a supercar, then you will have had to work very hard to get to that point in your life. So there's something behind that. It's not just, oh, you've had a windfall, won the lottery or something, now you can buy a supercar. There's nothing behind that. But if you've had to work really hard at something all your life to be able to get that, and reach that goal, that was something that I wanted, right? So I knew that in whatever I chose to do, I would work really hard at it. So I went into radio for a few years, and then I got the opportunity to drive a Bentley for the first time. Bentley called me, and they're like, listen, you're a journalist, we're allowed to give journalists cars. Would you like to drive one? We know you love cars. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I didn't even know this is existed, that you could just get given cars. So that's how my career now started. I started I suppose, documenting my personal experience of driving these cars from a layman's perspective. Like if any one of you were given a car tomorrow that you've never driven before, how would that make you feel? What would you point out? And that kind of resonated with people, I think, that I wasn't coming from a car expert, because a lot of the time when we hear from or hear about cars, it's from experts, and we never really hear from people like you and me. So that kind of resonated, and it started taking off, and almost 3 years ago, I quit my job on the radio and just thought, right, if I'm going to do this, I may as well just jump in and see where it goes. And it was really hard at first because I was suddenly this woman in an automotive world, and it's very, very male dominated. And I found, we'll talk about this later, but I mean, the onslaught of hate and negativity was really difficult at the beginning. Now I've found through that my purpose, because now I've suddenly become this figurehead for women in the automotive industry. And now that I have this platform, I'm able to speak for more women in male-dominated industries, and we're looking to expand now and hire more people onto the platform. And what I'm going to do is give that opportunity to more women, so that, instead of women being accessories in the automotive world, which often they are, they're just kind of seen posing next to a car, I want to make more women authorities in that world. So that's kind of where the purpose has come from now.
As a side note, when I was 6 years old back in Germany, and we grew up in East Germany, normally people think of Germany as being very wealthy. That wasn't the case with us. We grew up in East Germany, actually behind the wall in 1990. But the first model car that I got was a Lamborghini Diablo. It was actually always my dream car. And the first time I sat in a Lamborghini, started the engine, was actually in Dubai. And I still remember the feeling, the vibration. It got me super excited. I know to your point that it's just a car, but it's almost like an experience.
Yeah.
It's more than just a car, it's an experience.
I think everyone has a relationship with cars. Even if you don't drive and get an Uber every day or a taxi, you see cars everywhere. Most of us do drive cars. So even though we're not maybe automotive experts or in that field, we all have a relationship to cars. And I think that's why my platform is kind of taken off, in that I'm just kind of making cars real. We all have a relationship to them, so let's just talk about them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why are you doing what you're doing? Tell us your journey.
My life
How
journey.
you moved from
Well,
Denmark.
actually, it also starts with engines. Because I grew up traveling the world on motorcycles with my parents. They were adventurers. And then later has a motorcycle touring agency, also in a very male-dominated world. But then at some point decided to go from motorcycles to female cycles. And that was because I had been traveling the world since I was a child, in Africa and many other places. And it sat really deep in me, the sense that until women have agency over their own body and their own childbearing, and really are educated and knowledgeable about our biology, it's really hard to fulfill our potential, whatever that might be. So So that was one part. Another point was this question of like, why has there been so little innovation in female health and in family planning specifically since the pill came out like 70 years ago? We put people in the mood since then and nothing. You should think it's a pretty central part of human existence, you know, to control how many people will be on the planet if these big choices we make in life. So I was like, now we have sensor technologies, we have smartphones. This was about 10 years ago, and I thought, why don't we create something new, something that's data-driven these days, and really bring female health into this digital age, and bring it to everybody. So that was my spark, and it's still my spark 10 years down the road. You know, how can we really utilize data and technology for women's health?
One thing that we spoke about actually last night, I just sort of a side note here, she graduated from an alternative business school, and I didn't really know what that meant. Maybe you could briefly point out what the curriculum looked like for you at the alternative business school. It was really interesting.
Yeah, I went to a school in Denmark called the Chaos Pilots. It's a 3-year business school with a really strong emphasis on social entrepreneurship and sustainability. And yeah, it was just an amazing 3 years. I did an internship riding a motorcycle around the Chilean desert to sort of practice, you know, if I could create products out of sort of nothing, out of my head, my instinct, and it was an amazing experience. And of course, it was a very good internship for the business. I then started doing motorcycle tours, but nobody knew and everybody thought I was crazy, but it was a lot of fun. So it was a very progressive school with a strong emphasis on sort of personal development, which is I think now recognized as a big part of leadership, that you have to work on yourself as well. But at that time, it was quite different.
Being well-traveled is something that changed my life when I was 22. It actually did two things. The year when I was 22, I was still in medical school back in Germany. And I had a significant fear of flying. And I knew that the only way to overcome it was something that basically has to exceed this fear. And in my case, I became a medical emergency courier. I delivered bone marrow for leukemia patients throughout the world. And it was incredible. I basically didn't really attend much medical school. I did most of the studies myself. I went there for exams. So I normally traveled about 2 to 3 days out of the week throughout the world. And it helped me to overcome my fear of flying. No longer was about me, it was about the patients that are the people that I could save, where I could save their lives. Anyway, what happened actually a few months after I started this and overcame my fear of flying, I did a trip around the world. I bought a round the world ticket with Star Lines, Lufthansa, etc. And that's the first time when I actually really explored the world, in terms of diversity and exploring and immersing into cultures. I think that's why I'm today just excited. Phil, what about yourself?
Good morning, everyone. Happy birthday to you today. So I was born and raised in London. Traditional parents, the oldest of 3 boys. I think my mother was keen to have everyone in the right professions. I became a doctor. My middle brother became a lawyer. My younger brother read divinity, but never quite became a priest. So she was a little bit disappointed. I took medicine and loved the speciality, but at the same time, I was quite a high-level rugby player. And I became aware of this really interesting kind of connection between performance and well-being. And actually, the truth as to why I became a psychiatrist was because the level I was playing at, I was interested in orthopedic surgery, but I couldn't pursue that as a career because of the on-call demands. Psychiatry, which I also enjoyed, I could, they blended well together. So I thought, well, I'll give it a go and I'll see what it's like. And I've never looked back. And 10 years ago, the group has recognized the important shift from reactive healthcare to proactive healthcare. What can we do to protect our well-being, to enable ourselves to keep well? But as I was seeing from the sports domain, then also maintain and sustain excellent high performance. And as we're going to hear from all the panelists, this is one of the biggest challenges in the modern era. It doesn't matter whether you're a sportsman or woman, an entrepreneur, someone working in business. Understanding your well-being and making that a priority is really key.
Clarence, the next question I have for you actually relates to how much of your success can be attributed to hard work as opposed to challenge?
Well, that helps a lot. But it's obviously, I think most people of success know that things come with hard work. Discipline, hard work, following something that you're passionate about makes it also easier. But I've had a very strong focus on my health since very young as well. I've been just very lucky to have the right people around me and probably the will to listen and to learn fast and implement the things that they were telling me. As I wanted to become a professional player at a young age, I was in the club of Ajax FC in Holland, where the youth academy is the main drive to bring players in the first team. So it's a normal focus for any young player in that club to have that, possibility to get in the first team. So I was thinking, if I'm fit, I increase the possibility. If I'm not fit, then I'm making the life of the coach is very easy. That was for me. A lot of things to stay healthy is about philosophy, life philosophy. How do you live every day of your life? The decisions you make, the things you leave or actually do, try, even if you don't know them. So when I was 15, I started the process of learning about my body and going through hours and hours with physiotherapists and other specialists in that area, just looking and searching for improvement of my well-being as a athlete, but mostly as a person, because I think that, and I know now for sure that it's the correct way, because during my career I've had a lifestyle that is still my lifestyle. I didn't have to change anything when I started playing. While I see many of my colleagues that did certain things during the career because of the career, not because it was their lifestyle, and now they continue in the same way, but they don't perform anymore, they don't exercise anymore at the same intensity. So all the problems are coming, and then they get aware, and it's easier for a doctor to shift and to come back from certain disciplines because we have been trained all the time to have that switch. You lose a game, 3 days later you need to be performing again. So to fall down and stand up is something that we've been trained for most of us.
What I find most fascinating is you said at the age of 15 or maybe earlier, you had this maturity to understand that if I want to be successful as a football player, I need to be physically mentally fit. I wasn't there. I started training when I was 12 as a runner, so I had a general understanding, but I most certainly didn't even have the scope to comprehend what it would take. I was more or less trusting my coach, but it seems like you at an early age took initiative.
I was fighting my coaches.
Yes, but this is absolutely fascinating. Is this the way how you were brought up, being an independent thinker from an early age? Because again, I was also fighting my coaches, which didn't go well. Didn't really help. But especially at a young age, they're like, you are not supposed to question what I tell you, especially from its German sort of hierarchical point of view, right? But did you grow up, being an independent thinker? Did your parents pay a lot of attention to being an independent thinker?
Well, I have to say I was also lucky that with my father, yes, I had dialogue was central in our family, but it doesn't really change because you go into society and you meet a lot of people who just do what I say. That mentality, what I say mentality, just didn't fit with my personality. So I had a lot of discussions going on when I was young, fighting for what I thought was right for me. And at the end of the day, after Dr. Handel was the first team coach, I started to go to a physiotherapist actually outside of the club, and they didn't like it because I had to work with the physiotherapist off the club. I said, listen, I don't want to wait for 3 hours to be treated 10 minutes. This is my body, my career, and if I'm fit, you're benefiting as a coach as well. I was 16 with one of the best coaches in the world. And we had a big discussion, but he couldn't argue. He had arguments to come with. So at the end of the day, he left me doing what I was doing because I was one of the fittest players of the team. That's why with 16 years and 19 to 3 years in Holland, I was playing practically all the matches.
So you're successful for itself, and that gave average.
So you fight it good, but then you perform.
Yes, but you
yes, but it's not a gamble because I don't think I could have done it in a different way. But when you speak out, you have a responsibility and you need to deliver. But that was also my motivation. And after I got conscious of it, and I started using it for myself to just speak out and stand for what you think is right and then perform.
So the next question for you, how, and we just mentioned a few of your social media statistics from the past 2 years. So her career, despite her paving the way towards this career for a long time, it really exploded about 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
This was probably something that no one could imagine. You probably couldn't even imagine this in your wildest dreams. How has this success changed your personal and also your professional?
Yeah, so about 2 years ago, I'd say, 2.5 years ago, so I quit my job on the radio, and I think I had something like, at that point I had 50,000 followers, and now 2 years later I have over 20 million, and I never thought I'd be in this position. I really didn't. A lot has changed, a lot. I think one of the main things that has changed now in my life is managing my energy levels. So I used to give my energy to every single person all day, every day, because, as I said, I like meeting people and hearing people's stories. And when people come up to me and they say, I follow you, this and that, and we get into a conversation, I don't take them for granted. They follow me. They have chosen to spend a part of their day every day looking at what I do. And that's not a small thing. So I want to give back to those people and at least give them a conversation, a part of me, But at the beginning, I was meeting 100, maybe 200 people a day, going around to these events, big car events, traveling the world. And when 100 or 200 people want a part of you every single day, you realize that you don't have that much energy to give. And I had to start pulling away. And I had to start in between takes. When the camera goes on, that's when I need to give most of my energy, because that's my job at the end of the day. So most of us would go into our work and we would give 80% of our energy to our jobs. So that's where I need to give 80% of my energy. So when the camera goes off, now I find myself retreating to a corner, because I know that if I have to speak to 50 people in between takes, I don't have enough energy at the end of the day to do what I do, and then my career would just collapse and we wouldn't go anywhere from here. And I realize now that when you look at movie sets, and you would see the A-listers kind of going off and retreating into their caravans and then coming out just for a couple of minutes to perform on camera and then retreating back again, everyone would be like, what a diva. They don't want to talk to anyone, they think they're so good, they think they're better than us. But now that I'm kind of in that position, not to that level, but I do find myself in that position quite a lot, that people always want something from me in my time. I've had to understand where they're coming from. And it's not because you feel like you're better than anyone. I'm the same as everyone else. It's just that you only have a certain amount of energy in your day to give to people. And that's where I really had to change my lifestyle.
So I have a similar example, not to the extent of your experience of being so public, but a lot of people are contacting me every single day. A lot of this, unfortunately, is unsolicited.
Yeah.
People want to give money, people want to give my advice, etc. What I started doing, and it hurt me in the beginning because it was very difficult. I, like you, like to give back and connect with people. I had to become, how to say, more exclusive, more selective. And this is actually misconceived by many. Like, oh, now he thinks it's something better.
Yeah.
And this is something I dealt with personally, but I think it's the best way to manage your energy levels because you have only so much time. So I don't want anyone to misunderstand, but before I get on any phone call right now, I basically ask people, what exactly is it that you want from me? And oftentimes people cannot even articulate what they want. They just want your time without knowing why. And this is something I have absolutely radically cut out of my life. And it can be a simple WhatsApp message. I don't mind giving away WhatsApp or LinkedIn, but this has changed for me. Have you felt the same feeling of almost guilt?
Oh, massive guilt, massive guilt. Yeah, rejecting people on a daily basis. And as you said, people contacting me saying, you're so rich, you're so powerful, you're so successful, give me a car. Give me this, give me that, I need this, you owe me because you're successful and I'm not. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. You know, I wasn't given this overnight. This is something that I really had to work for. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think that you're just given something and therefore they should be given something too. And it's those people that, okay, now I don't feel so bad rejecting because it happens all the time and I know that I wasn't given this, so I don't feel as bad rejecting them. But it's everyone else as well who just wants a piece of your time. And you have to say no, and it feels hard. Yeah.
You know, in your career, you gave us an overview of what your career looked like so far. How has your relationship to mental and physical well-being changed? Were there any, inflection points that basically said, where you said to yourself, something needs to change because it's an increasing amount of work, I can't cope with it anymore? I've had a personal experience myself in 2017, quite late in my career, but was there anything like this in your career, where you said something needs to change, otherwise I will just move on and do something else? Less stressful, less
I don't know, I think for me, having small children, it's a very natural sort of, I had to really get my priorities straight. I made a decision. I was like, hey, I'm building my own company, and with that comes a lot of stress and a lot of fear and all kind of things, but also privilege. I can create the culture, the work culture that I am going to thrive in. And so I decided I want to see my kids every day if I'm not traveling. And that means I leave the office not very late, because otherwise I'll be asleep when I come home. And so it's these sort of things where I think the gradual sort of evolution is actually taking more space and saying, no, this is how I want to do this. And sort of, trusting that what feels right is right. And actually then I can do the same with my employees. And this sort of focus on creating a culture where people can be humans and they can have families and they can actually perform over time and not just like burn people out. Because honestly, in the tech industry, a lot of companies will just burn through people. They'll just like make them work like crazy for 2 or 3 years and then they'll get the next one. And we have decided that we want to do differently because I want to not burn out. I have seen chip brothers burn out severely in the tech industry. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to have to be able to do this for many years. So what will that take? I have a good relationship with my children as well. And people always think that you can't combine starting a company and having small children. And I was like, why not? Why not? Have we ever tried to build a company where we just make that possible? Let's try. Maybe I'll, so far so good.
As a side note here, so the venture industry, basically globally, being global myself, having built a company, and I personally believe that the venture industry is deeply, deeply corrupted. The mindset that investors have is absolutely fundamentally wrong. And I know that Ida has raised from tier 1 venture firms around the world. She can talk more about it if she likes, but I was wondering, have you ever clashed with your existing investors and board members? Because your perception of what performance means, not just to yourself, but also at the company, is very different compared to these other founders that have all burned out. Silicon Valley is a really horrible example of how not to build companies. But have you ever clashed with your investors?
So very early, we had an angel investor who said, you need to find your own tribe. And this has been so great advice, whether it's team members, whether it's investors, or advisors. And so I think we've been lucky and careful to find the people who actually truly care about what we're building. And if you really truly care about what Who's about, it is about unfolding potential, it's about health, it's about sustainability. I can't build a culture, I can't build myself out, it makes no sense. So I have to kind of live a culture that is that, and they kind of have to support that. I mean, sometimes there are, we discuss degrees of how much, we spend time doing sort of inner work as a management team, for instance. We spend a lot of energy really creating a culture of high performance based on really good relationships.
Is it similar to what Clarence said about himself? He basically setting an example, he did things differently. He was seeking for his physiotherapist outside of the football club. Eventually, success basically was a history of concept. This is similar in applied.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my company with my partner, my boyfriend. We are not married, but kind of. Let me just call him husband to make things easy. And so, we had to, of course, see a couple therapists. Why would you not do that? And we see a coach, or we see a teacher, and many other people. So being open and transparent, like, you need that support system. Football players have obviously have a trainer, a coach. But as a startup founder, is it a bit embarrassing if you have a couple therapists? No, like that should be part of how you make yourself a high performer and stay on this really steep learning curve. Right? Because the problems you have as a CEO when you're 5 people teams are different as you grow the company. And so for me, it's my argument to investors was always, listen, if I burn out, we have a big problem. You have to invest in health.
No, I absolutely resonate. Phil, you have been, or you've learned about performance and peak performance through your personal but also professional life. How has your perception and the way you approach performance, especially with clients, changed over the almost 40-year career in creating?
That's a great question, Marcel. So I grew up, like a lot of people, in an environment where academically, sports-wise, performance was about the result. The grade, the score, and it wasn't until later in life that I recognized that you need to really break performance down into your activities, what you're doing, because otherwise, if you're pushing, you're exposing yourself to chronic stress. And this is a problem in physical every big business. So the key for sustainable high performance, as we've heard from our members, is how do you build recovery into your everyday, not once a week on a holiday, twice a year, every day. Elite athletes have this forward. Their scheduling is kind of a wobbly line. They train, they rest, they train, they rest. The actors and actresses on the stage, they go off to the caravan, they eat. Most of us work flat out most of the time, take a holiday. So our ethos is sustainable high performance, building recovery as a performance behavior into our everyday activities, whether that be short breaks, exercise, looking at your diet, mindful meditation, reflection, prayer, changing to work. Even 5 or 10 minutes per day can make a measurable difference to what you do. That for us is absolutely key. It's great to hear people up here that don't even realise that coincidental sports person, that is in your DNA, that is always going to be the case. But great from an early age that you can prioritise going straight to a physio and take yourself a 3-hour wait, because you can do much more important stuff with that, particularly with recovery.
I want to highlight this. Performance is not just about achieving the next goal, the next result. In order to do that, we actually need to unwind. We need to learn the ability through meditation, for example, breathing techniques. I teach a lot of those to founders, etc. So there are many different ways how we can basically recover. And this idea that performance, in order for us to continually grow, there shouldn't be a flat line. There has to be basically this recovery process that we've heard about many examples. And this is a mindset shift that many people who are not necessarily growing up with a support network of coaches, etc., they're not used to it, they don't understand it. But this is extremely important. In my life personally, a high impact entrepreneur, in this case, is akin to a high performance athlete if you don't have a mindset. It's just not going to work. And this is what needs to absolutely change. And investors don't understand this. I've spoken to many, even the best. And when I tell them the numbers, the stats of how more likely founders are to develop a mental disorder or suffer from a mental disorder, they look at me in awe. They don't get it. But these numbers are done. There's Michael Freeman, a psychiatrist based out of California. He has conducted studies with just founders, and they are significantly more likely to suffer from or develop mental disorder throughout their life journey as an entrepreneur. It's just sort of a side comment.
And I think, you were talking about this before, so what I was amazed to hear is that let's say that 1 in 10 startups make it through, and 2/3 of the ones that fail is down to the leader burnout. And so what we have to understand is that we're investing in our health for that performance. And we talked about recovery behaviors, that's really important, but also mindset. So the concept of resilience really is 3 things. Under pressure, being able to direct your attention where it's most effectively needed, being able to keep that pressure in proportion and function effectively. But probably the most important is recognizing that learning from setbacks is important. Resilience is about bouncing back. There are always going to be bumps in the road, and they're learning opportunities, but not failures.
That's why, Clarence, again, I mentioned before, I'm deeply impressed that you realize this in your teams. It took me, despite a medical degree for God's sake, it took me more than 20 years. I literally had a personal difficult time back in 2017, and that's when I said to myself that something needs to change. And I have many medical friends who came they're suffering from the same sort of problems.
So, I just want to add one thing, which is about when we talk about sort of the recovery, I really think we need to talk about sort of emotions, and especially in work things. How do you actually handle emotions? How do you take care of sort of emotional swings that there is in organizations? You know, the setback, because that's the recovery, is that you sort of integrate and you perceive something. Having a language, especially as a leader, how do you actually sort of hold space for an organization to go through these turmoils? How do you handle fear? Of course, how do you have your own fear so that you can help people process their fear? And really think of that as a core leadership skill. How do you help people build the relationship and this emotional flow can be really healthy?
I think it's great that I can hear a leader saying you're comfortable and prepared to talk openly about your emotional responses to the challenges that you face. Because that's part of the problem, certainly in societies, particularly for men who grew up in environments where we're going to be tough, we're going to have big shoulders, we don't show emotions. And actually, the research is now showing us that self-compassion, the ability to recognize our distress and respond to it, is not only important for performance and well-being, but also for the impact we have on those below. So rather than being a transmitter of stress or just an absorber of stress, we're recognizing we're living it and we're kind of making it okay.
Clarence, in your Oxford interview, which I already told you I really enjoyed, you spoke about something that really resonated with me. I think initially I was thinking more like retirement, like you said, and this is something that many of your former friends, also professional football players experience. I call it a coincidental post-career depression. And you said many of them actually are subject to this kind of feeling, post-career depression. But you also said discipline is one way to overcome this. Can you give us some insight into whether or not you experienced it, and if so, how did you overcome it? And what are you doing today to maintain your level of mental and physical performance sanity?
Yeah, I would like to clarify a few points on happy coaches, because they have a role as a coach, but they're not really, most of them, capable of coaching properly. Most of them are doing damage. People management is not something that has been in the books of becoming a coach, professional coach. It's the tactics, it's the technical aspect of things. So I think that someone is born with enough talent to overcome the bad management that is around in football, which I know best. I played over 1,000 matches in my career, which is I think a handful that have done that. But I also know it has nothing to do with the physical aspect. It is all the awareness, it's the spirituality, it's how you live your life. If you think playing a match is stressful, then just look at certain places in the world where people have nothing. If you can put things in perspective, your behavior will change. And I have there's so much more from all of you, because I recognize how there's a line where the spirituality is the word we need to use more and more. Because at the end of the day, our life has purpose, then the things that we do are all much easier. If it's, I need to work for my salary, I need to work because I need to take care of my kids, all of that is not based on you. I will say you need to take care of you first. And if you do that, then you can give to the others. And that for me is philosophy again. And when you have that philosophy, then things become easier. Even if with this philosophy I've been through a lot of difficulties, emotional stuff, but it takes less time to recover from it. Because we're human beings, so we go through our moments. But I just feel that takes too much sport for sure, which is something that I promote a lot. We need to have sport much more integrated in the schools, in Holland, which was practically 6 hours a week. Today is 1 hour a week. So, social media is fantastic, but how do we use it? How do we use technology? All these things, and I'm working by myself also on a few projects related to have a football app where we're going to try to inspire, the kids to use the technology, but also stay in movement when they play outside and do all these things. So
I want to extract one thing from what he said, and I had a long conversation with Ida yesterday about the same spirituality. Performance means it is okay to be selfish. Selfish to the extent that you have to take care of yourself first. If you want to be, I think, a role model to someone else, but also spread the energy that it takes to build a company, create a culture. And this is extremely important. So selfishness is acceptable to an extent that you want to have a positive effect on people around you. And this is very, 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 I'm so glad that you're pointing this out. Also the spirituality aspect of this. In your case, if there's one thing you could change about being a social media influencer, what would it be?
Probably the term that you just said, social media influencer.
Okay.
Yeah,
What is that?
I have an issue with it.
What's the issue?
It has a negative connotation, being an influencer. I don't consider myself an influencer at all. I think it's a new career. And a lot of people, when they say a social media influencer, they think that we pick up the phone and take a selfie, and that's how we have a career. Upload a selfie, that's it, boom, you've got 20 million followers, and what's your life? It's super simple, whatever, you take selfies for a living. It has a super negative connotation. So if I could change one thing, or I changed quite a few things, but that'd be one thing, that we could relabel this industry. Well, we're all content creators. So just as I was on the radio, I was a radio presenter, I was creating content for people to listen to. If you're a TV presenter, you create content for people to watch. The same as what I do now, I create content for people to watch, just on a different platform, right? So I think we need to relabel the industry. That would be great, because a lot of people misunderstand this industry completely. They think that we're lazy. They think that we're typical, I suppose what people say are millennials now. We just kind of are self-entitled. We think we can have a career based on taking a few photos and that's it. But there's a lot more work that goes into this. At the end of the day, I'm running my own business. And like any other business, you look after A to Z, everything in between. And it's just me. And then I actually hired my husband last year. So we work together, and it's a lot of work. So that's one thing that I think I would change. Yeah.
And so there's a misconception about what it actually takes to become a very successful influencer. It's not just about posting images or being content creator.
Yeah.
So this is extremely important. I had no idea.
Right.
But is this something that you feel like resonates with many content creators?
I think so.
That's being mislabeled.
Yeah, I think so, because I'm almost embarrassed to say sometimes what I do, because people really have a preconception of what that would be, and then I have to just stand there going, trying to explain to them actually what it really means, which is waking up every day, thinking of something creative that people want to watch. How do you break through the millions of things that are put online every day, right? You're all online, you're all uploading content every single day. How do you break through that and get your content noticed? It takes a lot of work. So you've got to be super creative, coming up with new ideas every day. You've got to be on the camera every single day. There's no weekends, there's no holidays. It's 24/7, because of course social media is 24/7. There's always someone online. So you've always got to be feeding the system. Plus the algorithms on each platform are like a little monster in themselves. So the less you post, the less they favor your content. So Facebook will stop pushing out your content to more people. Instagram will do the same thing. So you're kind of playing by their rules a little bit. So you have to keep pushing out content every single day. And if I'm not filming something, I feel this intense pressure, and that I'm gonna fail, because my content won't be seen anymore. So I think it's also everything else that comes with a business. It's dealing with clients, it's the finances behind the scene, it's the editing, everything else. So I think that's a major misconception about what we're doing.
Ida, how has your, again, personal focus on and interest in performance, how have you created your culture, work culture? Is there anything that you're doing different than other companies? Or maybe we've spoken about flashing early on with some investors. Have you established a different culture that reflects your understanding of work? Can you give us some examples?
The funny thing is I've never worked anywhere that wasn't the place I've created myself. So I don't really know what a normal work culture is like, but people tell me that it was very different. And what I hear is that people say that they can be their full selves. There's more space to be human. But one thing I'm thinking a lot about at the moment is sort of coming from a place of abundance. So, often you start meetings and be like, okay, let's list all the things that are some concerns. And you all sit there heavy. And I'm like, hey, why don't we start meetings with hey, what's actually working really well right now? What are we good at? What is really going well? And it just creates a completely different energy of it's actually going pretty well. And then from there you can be like, okay, what are the things we need to get? Because of course I list endless. It's never ending, right? It's it's ongoing around. The bigger the organization is, the more shit show it is, right? So really starting from this place of creating the energy. You talk about energy management. So how can we bring some joy back to this? And so it's not just all fear, And that has really made it. So that's a very concrete thing. We actually start meetings with what's working well.
I saw your smile last night talking about the culture you've established. You told me one thing. Learned a lot about culture myself. I think especially as a medical doctor, becoming an entrepreneur is the worst entrepreneur there is. Medical doctors, this is a criticism, I'm not looking at you, but medical doctors in general are not the best team players there are for a variety of reasons. Academia, medicine in particular, is highly competitive. When I was at Hopkins, it was cutthroat business. Harvard is even worse. So it's a lot about survival and making it on your own rather than making it with others. I had to unlearn every bad habit I acquired from medical school. I'm not sure if you can relate to this. Being the founder of your own company, but I've been through this personal experience myself. So I've learned a lot about leadership, and I don't think I was good at it, to be honest with you. But I think I became a lot better over time.
Yeah, it's certainly my experience of the academic mental world, which I was never particularly enamored with, was that it's very much about ego. It's about self-achievement. Because these teams that are very dysfunctional. There's an old saying in English, there's no I in team. And when I was coaching my younger boys playing rugby, I used to hammer that message home. It's all about the collective. It's all about what people can achieve together. If you look in football, there's a manager in football, Jurgen Klopp, who's got a fantastic team ethos together. Now, he might not be the best technical coach in the world, but what he is able to do is bring people from disparate parts of the world who don't necessarily all speak the same primary language together with a shared, what we call mental model. These people are working for the same goals with enough similarity in their values to glue them together. And when it happens and it works, if you're in sport or business, it's amazing. And it takes a lot of
I have one last question for you, and then we're going to open it up Q&A. One thing that I have dealt with a lot in my entire life, because I am sort of pathologically interested in success. That's how I grew up with. So I've always been focused on this rejection of failure. I'm not sure to what extent you can relate to it, but I always am very concerned about failure. My personal experience was when I left Hopkins, which at least in medicine was sort of the castle of medicine, and then starting a business on your own. I became extremely humble and curious because whatever I did before, what I had before, the medical world was open to me. I could have done anything there, but I started realizing that all of this doesn't matter. In business, running your own business, even as a content creator, etc., you need to deliver. It's all about performance. In sports, it's all about performance. That's the only thing that matters, and people judge you by it. So fear of failure has always been with me throughout the entire journey. What are some of the techniques that you've learned to cope with rejection or fear of failure? This is something I would be very interested in.
So it's all about the meaning we ascribe when things don't go well. So immediately you use the word failure and you create an emotional response. You could rename that. You could say a disappointing outcome. You could say things didn't go quite so well. So immediately, and our brains love to tell stories and put meaning to things, and we can change that meaning. So we were talking before about anxiety and how that can be troublesome. And you were saying, Marcel, you always get quite nervous before you were saying you're terrified. And I said, well, let's call it excitement. These are the same responses that young children get before they go to a party or something they're very excited about. It's the same neurobiological response. So what we do as psychologists is we find out what the meaning is and we help people to check that kind of language that's in their head and challenge it and change it. So quite often people will have these unhealthy thinking styles like the mind traps of catastrophizing, something bad happens and you fast forward to the worst possible outcome. Or the perfectionists who love that all or nothing thinking, unless things are 100% it's a disaster. Those are spurious, unhelpful thoughts. At times they can be helpful, but we need to develop what we call cognitive flexibility, the ability to zone in and zone out, and direct where our thoughts are going, so we can downgrade the internal generation of additional stress. The world is stressed enough without us stressing ourselves.
And one thing is, yes, it's good to think the right way, but I'm really saying there's this whole piece of how do we get into our bodies? Like, how do we actually feel the stress? How do we know how to ground ourselves? How do we get the energy out? Like this, the whole sort of, we have this amazing sensory system that gives us all this data back, right? Most of the sort of neural activity is actually from this way up, not the other way. So really learning to embody ourselves and use the body as sort of a full resonance of whatever's happening. And I think this whole skill of how do we talk about embodiment, learn about embodiment, hasn't quite reached sort of work life yet. We talk a lot about mindfulness and sort of mental models, which is good, but my premonition is that given another 10 years, we're going to talk much more about how do we actually bring the body to work.
So that would be the next step. So you recognize it.
Right.
Then the next thing is exactly that. So we talk about focusing on breathing or being grounded or something that's very much kind of somatic. Because this thing likes to get carried away. Our prefrontal cortex burns up too much energy. We get into this kind of more basic functions that we focus and downgrade that stress response.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really agree, because I think that there are many people that don't have that capacity to come from that path. And science also tells us everything starts from here. In order to feel our body, we start here, and then our body makes us feel stuff. And actually, it's a bit discriminating if you go there down, because those who are paralyzed, what do they do from bottom up? So we need to be aware that not everybody has the same capacities. And the one capacity that we all can work on comes from here. If we need to, the capacity to build this awareness over our body, then we can use and enjoy our body. So in that sense, I agree completely.
So Clarence, can I just show the audience what you did? So Clarence comes from here. Now he wouldn't realise what he was doing. He was actually showing mind and heart. And there is some very interesting research that showed that there's two-way correlation between signals that emanate from the heart up to the brain. So it's not just brain, it's not just neurological, it's right there in the heart. And that links beautifully to spirituality side. Because if we can address how things are in that way, what we're doing is you wear a monitor for your present heart rate, and we can see the interaction between meditation, prayer, things that take us out of that thinking cortex. So that is exactly right. I don't think we disagree, it's just about how.
Yeah, but I was understanding that we would say from bottom up.
Oh, I see, yes.
I suppose
because
it feels like it's coming from this. It feels like our body is telling us a certain thing, but it's actually coming from here. Right, control and deference.
You can learn these skills. It's literally about practicing like football skills, like rugby skills. The more you do it,
we have to talk about a machine that's actually invented now. It's the representing technology, which is the other world. When we were in AC Milan, we had this unilateral mindfulness, maybe we know about it. But very interesting, because that helped us actually with biofeedback to really understand our system, our internal system. This machine talks about psychophysical wellness, and we're in conversation about it, because I'm completely into these aspects, because I've seen how people really get sick just because they are not aware, or the connection that we're talking about, and balance is not there.
And also data is actually what, data is a translation between what's happening in my body. I see some data and then I can understand through my body. It's almost like a translation between what's happening in my body just a note on the
It's very unfortunate, but we need to wrap up. Just one last comment is, I was both trained in Germany and also in the United States. What I learned, and was the first thing I learned at Johns Hopkins, what gets measured gets managed, what gets managed gets done. To the point of data and helping people to understand what it does. So we actually, with our founders, everyone gets a smart ring that I'm wearing right here. We are basically measuring at any given time continuously heart rate variability, sleep activity, and a few other measures. The reason why this is so important, we want to take into account the Biowink that we were referring to. And we are basically, when we're enrolling founders, not just investing the money, we collect psychometric, physiological, and lifestyle data. And we have a research team in the background that will establish the first ever correlation between well-being and business performance based on interventions that we are basically conducting with each founder in relationship with the ring that is so critical. All right, yes, exactly. You got it. Perfect. If we were in Finland, everyone had one. Perfect. So I'm just saying there are new ways, new tools that seamlessly can integrate in our life and help us to visualize basically what we feel every day, especially when it comes to stress response, for example. And it's absolutely mind-blowing. I have learned so much about my sleep patterns, and it really helped me to understand the architecture of sleep and help to tweak it. I'm basically what's called a biohacker. We can talk about more. I can hack anything. I can basically turn an average human being into an outstanding performer. Any human being. And I can, my mission is to democratize excellent performance. And it's a concept that I never called it biohacking. I just called it medicine, but there's so much that can be done and we can democratize it. It's not a matter of someone having a very high socioeconomic status. It's just a matter of discipline. It's a matter of mindset. And this is, I couldn't be more grateful for this panel. What we talked about absolutely is amazing. We said performance is not just about reaching higher and higher all the time, but it's also the recovery process. Performance also means being selfish to the extent that you actually realize it's about you, your own mental and physical well-being, to affect others and eventually build successful businesses or whatever else you're doing where performance is necessary. So I really want to thank everyone. But we also, do we have time for a little bit of Q&A? Is there? I guess. Yes. Does anyone have any questions?
You have all these sports fans pushing the exact opposite. What do you think? It's always about pushing, push your limit, push. It's always that's the continuous message. But we're defined by limitations. So I just want to know what your thoughts on.
Yeah, I've been privileged to see some teams that were some kids with disabilities or differently able kids, because I didn't think that I could do. So they have developed just other skills that for me is being different. It is true, we do a very healthy job for 20 years, because we go definitely beyond what is normal. And that's why it's also based only on a short period of time. And many times though people don't look at the top athletes, what you need to do. I mean, find your balance, do what is needed for you to stay healthy. Because top sport is not healthy. Top sport is not healthy.
And I think one of the things we've learned through our training programs is that quite often in life people decide to make a change. So in the UK, for example, January New Year's resolution was to join the gym, do a detox diet, give up alcohol, etc. These aren't sustainable behaviour changes. Sustainable behaviour change is choosing one thing. And I challenge everybody here today to pick one thing that we talked about and go away and do it for a month. Do it for a month, just a small change. The chance of that becoming sustainable is way, way better. That's what's going to allow you to build your well-being and sustain performance.
One aspect to that, we have the world's leading expert on longevity right here. Someone actually I spoke to this morning. One of the things that you can relate to this is exercise, but to your point, it's not about the extreme, it's moderate exercise that really can make a difference in everyone's life. And that's why, having been a professional, this is very unhealthy naturally. That's why physically.
It helps to do it. Sometimes we go to the gym and you have people, they're coming up Okay, and that is where the stock athlete normally has the capacity to say, okay, I need to do it and I go.
Yeah.
You know the benefits because we've been there. And once people see the benefits, then they
Actually, research is very clear that if you work out between 75 to 225 minutes per week, that already can have a huge impact, positive impact on your life. And I honestly believe everyone can do it, regardless of limitations of having to work out. So there's so many things you can do. But 75 to 225 minutes, no matter how busy you are, I think you can accomplish. And that's a mindset.
You have extreme sports at that, which is
But it's also your own responsibility to set it into the right context, right? Advertising is advertising. So you need to put it in the right context. Any other question?
Either you're following your word of it, how you're doing your business, you want to see very well in Europe. And you look at the start of the week like this before, and how you're going to adapt to the business market, how you channel your demographic, or what the same issues that you see and how you're
So one of the biggest responsibilities I feel I have as a founder, talking to many people, is the voice, right? What am I actually saying? And when you want to talk to an audience that lives in a completely different cultural setting, I think having the sensitivity to actually truly understand what's actually helpful. You need to be close to people who know that, and I know that I don't know that, so I would have to get help to figure that out. But I know deeply that women have questions all over the planet, also living where I'm from, about their bodies and my health and my normal, how many more years can I have children, all these questions. And I would love to be helpful everywhere, but it's, I have to take this lesson. I think it's right.
Any other question?
I'm not founder, as I heard about your requirement with having to track all these founders, the investment. I thought, damn, I'm never getting investment for you. Because I think about all the privacy impacts about my investors knowing everything about how I'm having sex often. That's
I didn't go that far. I didn't go that far.
Well, let me tell you about the hobby functions, right? Just like the desk in your house. You can tell what people are doing by
So, yeah, so first of all, it's optional, but we have redesigned, reinvented terms. So there's an economic incentive for you to participate, but it's really about you need to understand and internalize the benefits of having this kind of, or access to this kind of regimen and the intervention that we provide. Because eventually you want to become better, right? Who else would take care of you? You're not going to join a professional football team where you have an entire support network, but we are literally the ones who are giving it to you. So it's a trade-off that you have to make. We were lucky enough to have found incredible founders who believe in it. They take ice bath every day, and some are going even more extreme. And that's the kind of mindset change that I want to lead. So it might not be for everyone, and I'm absolutely aware of it, but we want to invest in right people, but we don't exclude founders' opportunities because they might not be in the best physical shapes, but we might get them there. It's about the openness of them wanting to do it.
what are you doing with that data? Are you selling it?
No, it's not. We're using it internally. We're using it with a research team. It's a combination of Lucy Grove and Ohio, where we bring together the data. It's all internal. And it's all compliant with data protection laws, so it's not being sold. We are a fund. We're not advertising business or anything like that. I just wanted to do things differently. I'm a rebel in that sense, and I feel like we can do so much better. And if I want to have an impact on the investment world, which is so quantitatively driven, the best way to do it, I show the data, and everyone will eventually shut up and see what it costs. The best way to do it is with data.
I guess I just don't use the privacy.
We can talk about it in more detail. Anyone else? Here we go. Yes.
What is the age to have access to your? Is there a certain age to start?
Well, we are on the PCR slide, so you have to be 16 and then you have to have but as a dad, I'm highly encouraged to start with ads and read all constantly.
I bet you will, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah, because Change in the market.
Thank you so much.